a warning?
There ain't nothing to worry about.
I'm worried that you work in an office, have children, celebrate wedding anniversaries. The world of heterosexual is a sick and boring life.
Roses are red, violets are blue, but the iris is the flower that will mean the end of you.
You can run from Suspiria. Suspiria. You can hide from Suspiria. Suspiria. But you cannot escape. Suspiria. The only thing more terrifying than the last 12 minutes of Suspiria are the first 92.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome back.
Halloween season.
Halloween season, the weekend before Halloween. I guess this is the big party week for all the Halloween fun.
I know for me it is. I can't wait to get my costume in order. Listeners, this is going to be a fun movie. This film we watched is Bananas. I hope you've all seen it. Get ready.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. My name's Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes.
Published author and host from the I Don't Want to Hear That podcast, our friend Dev. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, everybody.
Devin Lotfi, welcome to the show.
Wait, I just want to go back real quick. I love that you said, is this the Halloween week? Because I had a friend that was like, so Halloween's on a Thursday. Can I have my party after?
The Saturday after?
I was like, I don't think you can get in a costume after the 31st, so it's either this weekend
Once
or
the
that's
clock
it.
strikes midnight on
Mariah
the 31st,
comes
you are in November, darling.
Thanksgiving time.
But everybody knows the big party weekend is the Saturday before.
I mean, yeah, I'm okay with celebrating my birthday right after, but only a couple of days. I also have a Thanksgiving birthday, and this year it's very close to Thanksgiving, so I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing. So it might have to be like,
year.
it is crazy late this year.
Is your birthday on Black Friday or something?
This year it is on, it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I would have to have stuff Friday the 23rd, so like 3 days early. Well, we do that.
Well, the day after, I always hear Wednesday before Thanksgiving is like the biggest going out night of the year because everyone's off the next day.
Back in my day.
That's the unofficial high school reunion
Right. Like
day in my
hometown
small
stuff.
town.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people do have family obligations, go out of town and stuff. So, although most of my friends aren't transplants, so we can all hang
I guess
out
you're
here
right.
in LA.
Yeah, in LA, it
But-
gets quiet, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's why Thanksgiving weekend was always fun. We used to go out on Thanksgiving Day. We'd like hang out with our parents and be all like, "Okay, we're going to the roost.
We're
after
gonna
this?
go. We're gonna go
All
close
right.
down the roost.
I'll meet you there," and we would have it to ourselves.
Aw.
But it's still Halloween. It's not quite Thanksgiving yet. So we're going to talk about some fun, spooky movies.
We are talking about a very fun movie to cover in October. Our first Dario Argento movie on the podcast.
Wow.
And Dev, whenever I think of this movie, by the way, we're covering Suspiria. Released in...
Wait, I thought, why do you guys always do this? You told me it was viewed from the top. That's why you get me back here.
I
every
know.
time,
We
and
get
you
dangle the
trick me.
carrot in front of you, and then we say, "Hey, we're doing a different movie."
We're actually
Not
going
this
to be
week.
covering Dario Argento's Dracula. I hope that you watched it
in 3D.
in 3D.
Yeah.
But yeah, Suspiria, released February 1st, 1977 in Italy and August 12th in the United States that year.
August 12th, 1977 was the day they released Suspiria.
Well, I mean, for American audiences.
I think there's some famous New York marquee shot that has like Star Wars and Suspiria playing like at the same time. They were out around the
you
same
could
time.
have seen both back to back.
Yeah.
Like you could have walked down the street in either L.A. or Manhattan.
The reason
and
I
gone to
was
both.
so shocked and appalled was because Elvis Presley died 4 days later. I
Good-
thought he died on the 11th.
Good call on knowing.
I thought he died
the
on the 11th.
date that
well,
Elvis
because
Presley died.
I'm clearly the reincarnation of it. Welcome back, Elvis Presley.
Welcome back,
He died
Elvis
in
Presley on the
77,
podcast.
and I was born. Welcome back, Elvis. So I always knew it was August, and my mom always tells a story about how she was very heavily pregnant with me, just crying into her Cheerios because Elvis had died. And so I knew it was very early August. And I was like, what? They released a movie in America the weekend he died, but he didn't die until 4 days later. So
That's so much fun in
Yeah.
the film landscape that Star Wars, I mean, just known as Star Wars at that time, A New Hope hadn't been kind of,
that was June, I want to say.
yeah. So that's pretty cool.
I thought Stitch was the reincarnation of Elvis.
Well, yes. I mean, we'll have to see who else passed in 77 and who you're talking to right now, who we're channeling. I'll have to get out the tarot cards.
All right, before we get too into the episode, we have breaking news on the podcast.
Oh gosh.
Speaking of Gwyneth Paltrow, Dev,
So
do you want to tell me what happened today?
Breaking news.
us three are the biggest fans of View from the Top that exist in this world. And, there's obviously a little bit of a taintedness to it because
It's-
Gwyneth Paltrow has,
It's Miramax Legacy.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it's a movie that Gwyneth Paltrow rolls her eyes if she's asked about
but,
it.
it had that 9/11, like it was postponed. Even
Yep. Right.
anything that had to do with a plane, even if it wasn't grim, there's still that shot of her like going down, like they had to be careful.
Yeah,
with. So,
yeah.
so who knows the life it may have had, like right after Legally Blonde. I think that's what they were hoping for. But anyway, Gwyneth Paltrow, maybe every month, she's like, ask me a question, and I always wake up and I. See
I
it.
usually do it with you too.
Right now, I forward it to Scott, I forward it to my friend Noel. I'm always like, all right, girls,
You
get
guys
to
are
work.
ridiculous.
And then I think I'm always looking for more sentiment. Like, you've been like 20th anniversary reflections or this and that. And like, she just never says anything. And then today I was just like, do you know that the gays love You from the
Give
Top?
us a shout out,
Give us a
girl.
shout out, Donna.
You posted that in the
Yes.
thing, and she replied.
And then she
with it.
replied with a GIF of Donna and put "love you." So hey, we got a GIF. We got her to at least.
Gwyneth Paltrow has
Love
replied
it.
to your question.
Love it.
Instagram notification.
I
So-
know, that was so weird. Just getting ready for work, half asleep. Gwyneth Paltrow has responded to your question. It was a good day.
So open up your podcast app and search for Movies That Made Us Gay, View from the Top. Available on iTunes.
Fun episode.
Yeah, and even go buy Richard Ayoade's book, Ayoade on
yep.
Top,
Yes.
which is a brilliant satirical yet complimentary take on that film.
I'm going to go out on a ledge and say that Gwyneth probably does these with her team. She probably has an assistant helper.
No, but every time, like it's a shame that mine wasn't her. Like, yeah, I'm sure someone's helping her, but like a lot of the questions she just like answers like right there.
She
Right,
had that.
right.
She had that. She had that GIF
image,
though.
Yeah, shut the
Yeah.
She had that
Exactly. So
GIF ready to go.
she was- yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I said to you. She's filming again. She's doing that movie with Timothée Chalamet. So maybe there's a little bit of like, all right, I'll.
Isn't
I'll
she going to be in a
accept some questions.
Safdie Brothers movie? Is that what it is?
Is that the uncut?
I thought she was
Gems?
supposed to be. Yeah, I thought she was supposed to be in a Safdie Brothers movie
Maybe.
coming up. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I saw pictures of them on set. Anyway, but yeah, so super excited.
But I'm sure that she's like, these F slurs are asking me about View from the Top
Yeah.
again.
Just that Gwyneth Paltrow eye roll and a slow head shake.
Well, guess what? Now
That
I've,
movie.
I've conquered View from the Top. I'm going to Shallow Hal next.
Oh, goodness.
Which she has been on the record saying that is the worst movie of her
But
career.
see, that's another one I'll defend because I still think there is some inherent sweetness in it. Truly. I
Okay,
think-
I'll
I
give you
think
that.
There's
Yeah.
a heart in there, despite all the 2000 Y2K.
Marty
Brothers.
Supreme is in production, starring Timothée Chalamet as Marty and Gwyneth Paltrow, and it is directed by Josh Safdie.
There you go.
Okay.
So, of Uncut Gems.
But yeah, real quick, I don't want to be annoying. I know you guys have heard me before. If you're the fans of The Comeback, HBO's The Comeback,
Yes.
Valerie Cherish stands. I have a podcast called I Don't Want to Hear That, where we go over the show, and it's really fun. I recently got to have Lance Barber on, who played Paulie G, Valerie's nemesis, and that was just a dream come true.
my
Nicest
gosh.
man in
What
the
episode did you
world.
talk about
He,
with him?
he is so good in this role because you hate him. Not you, me. Like,
No,
he's so hateable.
I was so nervous
as
to
that
interview
character.
him. And he ended up giving me
Yeah.
a hug.
Oh, I
he was
love
just
that.
an angel. It was Valerie Cooks in the desert when
Oh.
she has to go and work all those hours in the
Yeah,
heat. And
yeah.
they think he's doing drugs and he's just getting like...
We're inviting you to set.
acupuncture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're invited.
Actors love parties. So I only have 2 episodes left, and I'm kind of taking my
Wow,
time. But
yeah.
I was very lucky. H. Alan Scott, who you guys have had
Yep.
on the show,
Friend
of the pod.
yeah, he said he was interviewing her in June or July, and I remember just cheeky being like, "Make sure you tell her about my podcast."
Yeah.
And he was like, "LOL, yeah, okay, get away."
Yeah,
with it."
sure.
And then I ended up getting a text from him, and he's like, "I didn't even have to bring it up; she did." And I was like, "Oh
Love
my
it.
god!" And of course, I'm like kind of nervous, like, "Did you say something bad?" And it blew my mind. She was like, what did she say? I'm blanking. Oh yeah, she was like, he was like asking if she's aware of the fandom, and she's like, I'm not that aware. I know there's a podcast that's really great called I Don't Want to Hear That. And then how cool for Clout, he's like, oh, I've been on it. And then she's like, oh wow, maybe I've heard you because I've listened to it from time to time, and it's really great. And like,
Love
oh
it.
my god. And then she just went on to say how much she appreciates the comeback fans. And after that, because she does follow my page, I don't bother her too much. I probably could have been blocked by now, but I'm very coy. And I was like, thank you for the kind words. And she was like, it is a good podcast. And all I said was that, like, I would love to be able to have her for the finale. The 20th anniversary is coming up, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I would want to do it with Michael Patrick King, so now's not the time because he's busy right now doing the new Sex and the City. It's still filming, and just like that, they've been doing it forever.
It's still filming.
It's still filming season 3.
Season 3 has
Yeah.
been in production for
Yeah.
like 5 years.
Have
I
they
think by the
confirmed-
end of the second season,
Sure.
it was getting its footing. I mean, I'm on board. I'm watching.
I'm watching.
Oh,
every
I'll watch
episode,
that
yeah.
until
Yeah.
the day that it ends.
Yeah. But just the fact
We're
that
all
she will,
in.
like, I had reached out to him a while back, and that was, again, when he was starting that, and his publicist was very sweet, but I was just like, oh, my God. So I am next month going to try to get, like, a game plan together, because, yes, it would be nice to just have, like, a intimate conversation with those two, and maybe whatever on Zoom, but it is the 20th anniversary, and, like, I've had fans be like, what about, like, a comeback con? Like, that would be really cool if we were able to, like, maybe play the finale on the big screen, have some interviews, have some merch,
Right.
like, who knows? So I'm going to go with my gut, and we'll see what happens. And obviously, you guys will be there, and it could be really cool. I think it will be fun to celebrate. I can't believe it. 20 years, and it'll be 10 years since it ended, which is disgusting. So we're due for season 3. But
I was gonna say, I mean, season 3, I don't think is officially ever really off the table. So here's hoping for that one. That's exciting.
Max, did you need any originals? Season 3.
yeah, I would even take a 90-minute movie. Just show us.
There you go. Yeah, we can do.
That'd be
Yeah, I think a movie would be good. That could work. Even just for Max, not even a
Yeah.
theatrical. I would be super down for that. That's exciting. Well, that's great. I mean, congrats on Lisa. Just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
love that.
the acknowledgement.
I like to
and-
think that she
yeah.
listened to our episode.
Oh, she definitely did. She heard us talk about Marcy X and was like, "Yes."
Oh my God! Not Marcy
gays
X.
know.
The gays know about Marcy X.
Well, I would personally love to see Valerie Cherish dropped into the movie that we are covering tonight. I want to see Valerie Cherish roll up with her suitcases to this ballet school,
Dance Academy.
like to this dance academy.
Are we ready to go down the witch's road?
I'm ready. You really wanted to open the episode up.
I really wanted to
that
go
song.
down the road. We won't be doing that today because people would think we would be covering Agatha, which maybe we will on the Patreon.
Maybe.
Maybe. All
you
right.
do TV
A really long
sometimes?
article
Yeah,
on the Patreon.
It's on Patreon. Yep.
Yeah, on our Patreon we do it at the $5 level. Go check it out. We did a whole summer series on 90210. Oh, it was really cute.
Suspiria. Dario
Suspiria.
Argento. So I think that my first introduction to this movie was around the time Black Swan came out. Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan. I remember listening to film podcasts at the time.
They had podcasts in 2010.
They had podcasts in 2010, if you can believe it. I think it was the IFC News podcast that they had a episode on dance films. And I think that they just sort of gave a
Like
shout
Footloose.
out to, I think, movies that more about like dance. Like The Turning Point or
Bring it on.
not Bring It On.
Center Stage.
Center Stage. Yeah, movies about the art of dance.
I know.
And I feel like Suspiria was kind of mentioned of just sort of the original dance horror movie being Suspiria from
Not dance
1977.
Yeah.
Did I say dance horrors? I said dance horror movie.
No.
Well, I remember seeing Black Swan. I've only ever seen it once. I had the worst anxiety during that movie, and I loved it. But
I
mean, it was
Very
saw it-
tense.
I think I
Very
saw it
tense
3 or 4 times in the theater.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think I did go to brunch before and probably had like 5 bloodies, so I was just like, not.
There you go.
I remember
but no,
renting this movie on Netflix discs in 2010. That would
You
have
were
been
their
when I
first customer and their last.
That would have
customer.
been when I first moved to LA. So that would have been sort of my big introduction to Argento. I mean, I hate to
Wow.
be kind of one of those millennial movie fans,
But
but
you know,
I
this
mean,
was making me think. I truly, I can remember the moment I saw the first Halloween. When I first saw Halloween, I mean, to all you listening, my second favorite movie after Halloween is Suspiria. But I truly can't remember, if I saw it on the internet or mentioned or what. But there's a chance I was just walking by it in Blockbuster and saw that tagline. The only thing more terrifying than the final 12 minutes of this film were the first 80.
Such a
And it
cool
was that
tagline of
VHS
movie. Yep.
And it has that like Greek kind of statue thing with just Susie's bright eyes. And I'm pretty sure that was like, let me rent this movie.
I was
And
curious
the rest
about
was
the
history.
availability on home video with this, but I mean, it must have been a huge thing. 'cause that
In
would have-
this, I have a little textbook with me, folks. Like a little
The book of the
Suspiria.
film.
Yes, and it said it was a lot of issues with getting distribution over here, and it was really kind of a coveted thing to get on VHS. So eventually, it did.
I take
but,
it that's probably most of Argento's movies.
I mean, there's
at
probably
that
never a
time.
Betamax.
Yeah.
I guess of. I mean, who knows? But-
I would briefly, before we move on, like to address the tagline. The only thing more terrifying than the last 12 minutes of this film are the first 92. I was told there would be no math. I don't appreciate me having to count these
You have
things.
to. You're just turning into the
I
meme
swear
of
the
that woman
IMDb
thinking about the
link you
numbers.
sent me said 80. Maybe someone just did that to make it make more sense. But I guess
Yeah.
because
No,
it is
in the-
90. Because if you do 12 plus 80, 92.
And in the
But-
trailer, he says 92. He says
Okay.
it this way.
The trailer also, when you see the original marketing of this movie to an American audience, it looks like the Return to Horror High
like that skull
trailer
with the
with
wig
the skull
and-
and the
yeah.
wig. Feel like not very representative of the movie
I
itself.
just wonder in 1977. I mean, audiences today are a lot more sophisticated than those slobs. No, but I mean, I think moviegoers today, at least people who listen to podcasts like this, are a little bit more savvy to things like foreign movies
Yeah.
and things like. I mean, I don't think is this even considered giallo horror? Like, is
Apparently
giallo
it's
adjacent?
mistaken, but it's not.
Giallo
technically.
adjacent.
Typically,
Sure.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I question it.
But
even
it's
though
funny what you
not.
say about foreign film because technically I'm one of those people that's like, if you're going to watch a foreign film and you can deal with the subtitles, that's how it should be
Right.
viewed.
Yeah.
But Suspiria is that rare, amazing.
It's kind of the
dubbing.
experience of the dubbing.
Well,
And apparently it was
Yeah.
everyone shot in their native
Their own
tongue.
language, yes.
Like, and that's what kind of gives it that little like off kilterness.
And this is
except
very
Jessica.
like an Italian filmmaker.
But can you
kind
even
of
watch it
thing.
with subtitles? Like, I feel
No.
like that wouldn't even.
No.
Yeah.
And,
like-
well, because this was one of our, as soon as the movie begins, the credits are in Italian, but the movie itself is dubbed in English, and it's not that the streaming service dubbed it for us like Netflix often does. If you watch Squid Game, it defaults to English, right?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
you said, we agree. If you're going to watch something like Squid Game or an anime, a Studio Ghibli movie, watch it in its original language. And
Yeah.
read
I
the
don't
damn
know.
subtitles if you
I would
can.
disagree with you about the Studio Ghibli movies. I think that they're
The American dubs
are pretty good.
Very good.
Kirsten
You're
Dunst.
right. You're right. You're
Kirsten
right.
Dunst, Robert Pattinson, and The Boy and the Heron. So
for
good.
this movie, and I think in the 70s, like I said, the movie landscaping, the filmmaking landscaping was very different. Moviegoers were a little less savvy. I hesitate to say naive, but a little less savvy than they are today. And I think that for America, they package these movies like that. You know, going back to like the 60s, and you watch, what is the Vampires of Mars or whatever, like all those
Planet of the Vampires?
Planet of the Vampires, all those crazy Italian horror movies, and even the spaghetti westerns. Those movies are packaged to be shown in America in English, and like you
Yeah.
said, all these, and they're not just Italian actors. They're all from all over Europe.
Well, I was going to bring up
You know,
Jennifer Connelly.
and they're all speaking whatever the hell they're speaking.
Have you ever seen Phenomena?
Yes.
Scott
So
has,
I just
yeah.
saw
Bug
that
movie.
I
Yeah.
just saw that the New Beverly is playing Creepers, which is the English title, but apparently it's like 45 minutes shorter and super edited. So I'm curious. I remember really enjoying Phenomena. Donald
That chimp bit
Yeah,
off
yeah.
Jennifer Connelly's finger.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
How fucked up is
but
that?
I'm like wondering
Yeah.
how tame this other
Sure.
version is. But what other, just before we dive deep into Suspiria, are there other Argento films that you are a fan of?
What's the one with the eye scenes? Is it Opera?
Oh, with the
Opera, yeah.
needles.
With the needle in the
Yeah,
eye.
yeah,
We
yeah.
watched that with our dear friend of the pod, Naomi. I remember watching Suspiria and Opera with Naomi, and I have seen the Jennifer Connelly one.
So you haven't seen Tenebrae?
No, I don't
You
think
must
so.
Or
watch that.
Mother of Tears. yeah.
What about Deep Red?
No.
You please, both of you. Those are the Tenebrae and Deep Red are probably his best after Suspiria.
Okay,
Mother of Tears, rough.
Would you say Suspiria is kind of, if you're going to recommend a Argento movie to someone who might not be that familiar with him, would you say Suspiria is the most digestible of all of them? Just kind of, it's the one that's like maybe not easier to follow, but it has all like the beautiful colors.
It's funny that you say that because I feel like
Like,
Tenebrae
purely
is more
for
based
aesthetic
in reality if you're just like going for a
reasons, yeah.
slasher.
Oh, okay.
But Suspiria, I mean, I think is the best.
Does Tenebrae
But,
have
yeah.
anything to do with Suspiria?
No.
Because in the remake, and we
Inferno
won't go
is
too
the-
much into the remake,
Yeah.
but in the remake, there's the whole like three mothers and all that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of weave into the one movie.
They kind of do it in this movie, but it's,
and I think,
yeah.
well, the idea is started in this one, and then he has like. There's other movies that are part of it, but I've thought that Tenebrae was the name of someone in the remake or something.
Now,
so
did you
it's a
watch it
tenuous
when you
connection.
were younger or no? Okay.
I did not see Suspiria until I was an adult.
So even you with Black
Yeah.
Swan, you would have been like 22 or well, no, you would have been 10. I'm
I would
sorry.
have been 15.
Black
So
Swan.
I'm very lucky that I saw Suspiria when I was younger because I'll still argue. Even the most prestigious news outlets will be like, "Well, there's no story or substance. You can't deny Suspiria is beautiful." But like, I think Suspiria does have a story. I
Right.
do.
Yeah.
I do defend that, and I think, but maybe because I watched it when I was younger, I was able to get lost in the fantasy element like he wanted it to be.
Sure.
And you know, I think originally, if you saw, he wanted it to be like 12 to 14-year-old girls, and they were
I
like,
read
"This is obviously
that.
not going to fly."
Yeah.
But apparently, the script was not changed at all. That's why you have a lot of like, like snake and
Sure.
blah, blah, you know, like they are kind of immature.
I could see that with her first roommate
Yeah,
that she
yeah.
has. She has a very Judy from Sleepaway Camp quality about her. That's what I love about that character.
The one with the Princess Leia hair?
Yeah.
Barbara Magnolfi. I met her at the 40th anniversary at the Egyptian Theater, and I think I don't want to be rude, Barbara. I love you if you're listening. I think she had like a table and there were pictures, and I think I was just gonna maybe go buy one. And before I knew it, it was like autograph, selfie, like $80. I was like, help! But I did it, and it's hanging on my wall.
Angeline style. Oh, you're gonna buy a T-shirt too?
You had to go out to the trunk of her car and buy merch. Yeah.
Girl, she did what she had to do. And Dario was there too. And, I mean, I've seen this movie countless times on the big screen. When you
she
guys
is
get a chance,
fierce, by the
definitely go
way.
see it with Goblin. Claudio Simonetti, the guy who did the score.
Sure.
A couple years ago, I went and I saw it on the big screen with the score. Eli Roth was there. I know he's a huge fan.
Sure.
Does he
I
like
can
play
see-
along to like a
Yeah, I mean,
like an-
it's
like an old silent movie?
completely in
That's great.
soon.
Love
and
it.
Speaking of Eli Roth, did you ever watch any of his history of horror?
A little bit.
So there's a
Yeah.
witches episode,
Yeah.
and he flawlessly covers Suspiria, and it made me so happy. He paid such great respects to it, and again, he kind of added on to me saying that there is, a story there, and I feel like he eloquently describes it,
Well-
because she's a reluctant hero. It takes
Well, it's almost like a
time.
fairy tale.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, it's simple in the way that stories like Snow White and Hansel and Gretel are
Yeah.
just kind of, when it boils down to it, it's a very simple premise.
Right. She's kind of
movie.
a princess.
Yeah.
She's floating. I love when she's with her roommate. She's like, "Well, I'll go back to the States, but I don't really know what I'll do." Like she doesn't have any goals. She's just kind of so like all of us. We get older. We still want to go back to school. We want to escape reality. You know what I mean? She's not in high school. Like this is like a
Right.
semi post grad
Right.
woman. She's going to go abroad and do her thing. And I think she doesn't mean to fall into this,
Yes.
but it's because when she arrives, she witnesses. Oh gosh, what's the girl who's leaving's name?
Oh yeah, Pat.
Yeah, so because of her, connection to Pat, Otherwise, she probably just would have got along splendidly and never had to worry about being a threat. But immediately they were like, okay.
I think I told Pete as we were watching it that her the rainy taxi drive over to the school, it reminds me a lot of in Disney's Snow White, when Snow White is
the woods?
escaping from the huntsman, or I guess the huntsman lets her go and she's running through the woods screaming, and she kind of sees all of these like scary trees, like
Well, did you see the
wind.
subliminal face of Dario in the taxi?
No.
Oh, it's terrifying. We should pull it up. When she's driving, you see a screaming face on the reflection where the taxi driver is, and it's actually Dario Argento's mouth. Oh, it is so creepy. Yes, but it's
poster,
it's,
yeah. But it's in the reflection.
Is that the image? Okay, we're looking at the posters.
It's one
Listener.
Of it looks American.
Is that the one from the window?
It's in the. He's saying it's in the reflection of the glass between the back seat and the front seat of the cab. Yeah.
Okay.
Did not catch that.
But yeah,
We'll
I
look
love
out
that
for it
scene,
next time.
and it just kind of really puts you in the mood of this is the kind of movie that you're watching.
Well, yeah. I think Susie is on her hero's journey. She gets thrust into this situation, and it's just she's a little apathetic at first. She's just like,
I don't
"Okay,
know.
Pat, bye,
Sure.
girl." Like, I still need to get inside. If I saw someone a teenager screaming and running from a school in the dead of night in the torrential rain, I might be like, "Hey, where are you going?
Do you want me to call your mom?
Yeah, do you need me to call somebody for you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like,
She's just like, "Bye, girl. I need to get
she's like,
inside."
what is
there."
this? Yeah, what is
Yeah,
this bitch doing?
don't hold the door for me or anything.
Well, Daria Nicolodi. I'm saying that wrong. Nicolodi. That was Dario Argento's wife, or
See the co-writer
Daria.
Daria.
Sure.
Yeah,
Daria
I know.
Nicolodi.
If I was a girl, my parents were gonna name me Daria, by the way. But she wanted to be Sarah, and they might have said she was too old, but I don't think Sarah looked particularly young. I think she was the same age as Jessica Harper, so that was kind of interesting to me. I think there was some drama there, but she has a cameo in the airport. She's actually walking right next to Susie.
Okay, I recognize her. Okay, so she was an actor, and she is the mother of Asia.
Yeah, she
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
she passed away just a few years ago. But yeah, so she's in Suspiria, and of course, she used to say it was based off of her grandma's stories about like a witch's school or something. But then Dario may have negated that. I'm not sure. They definitely bumped heads a lot.
I was reading something about the idea of the movie coming from a trip through several European cities. Just kind of, it's called the Magic Triangle at this point, where France, Germany, and Switzerland meet. And I think that there's a lot of occultist shit going on in that part of Europe, which I think is really interesting. Just
Yeah.
kind of this old world witchcraft. Yeah, which I think is pretty cool. So where do you think a movie like Suspiria just kind of exists in the canon of witch movies? Like, what kind of witches are these?
That's so funny you say that, because I was telling my roommate, I was like, in the end of the day, I still feel like we're missing like one final like amazing witch film. Like, almost Hocus Pocus without the comedy, as much as I love it. Like, and The Craft is kind of fun, and The Witch is a little too A24 and nihilistic for me.
Sure.
Like, I feel like there needs to be some kind of
You want to?
I think like Williamsburg, colonial.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, of course, I would say Angelica Houston, The Witches, I love. Hocus Pocus, I love. Suspiria is interesting because, it's about witches, but it's like they're not really in the foreground.
Sure.
And-
They're always
also
kind of in the
think
background.
It doesn't really have an American ideal of witches. Right?
Sure, that's
You
what I'm
think
kinda
of
going for.
Witches in America, and you go
Right.
to, Salem, you go to Hocus Pocus, or you go to modern witches, The Craft, and all that, where this is very European, like you're saying. Not just as a foreign film in that sense, it's crazy European.
Yes.
But then also in the ideas of these women who have this school and they are witches, and
You could call it. You could call it a coven.
but if Sarah didn't go and like destroy them, what bad were they doing?
Susie. Yeah.
What were Susie? I'm sorry, not Sarah.
Well, they do punish people.
they punish people for
if you piss off the coven,
them off.
you are probably going to die.
But are they trying to turn all the children into mice? Are they trying to take over the world?
I think we have
don't
no
know.
idea what they're doing,
I
and the
don't
school is a
know.
total front.
I think
and if you just abide by them and do your studies, you're not going to deal with
Yeah.
it. But there's going to be people that are like keen.
But is the idea that they're just in league with Satan and that's inherently bad? Because otherwise, them just being witches and running a ballet school, it's like, well, why can't we just let them do their thing and run this ballet school?
Can I
Like,
sign up?
Can I go to school with the witches
Yeah.
and like maybe learn to like read some cards and get a dance education while I'm there? I think I just seed of the idea of they are witches, they're in league with the devil, they must be stopped, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I know what you mean, because I feel like
Done.
I keep saying, like, I'm arguing for the story, but I also argue for it is a nightmare too. And sometimes when you wake up from a dream, you're like,
Yep.
well, like
You're trying to piece it together.
right? And
Yeah.
I do, like, I will say that the scene where they're at the like sleepover because of the maggots, and then like the headmistress is just behind them. Like that's very like that doesn't make much
Sure.
sense. In
Like,
the realm
why
of
is she back?
reality.
Like,
Yeah.
why is she back there sleeping?
right.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to me that they were talking, I thought that when they were talking about the headmistress, that they were talking about Blanc.
Yeah.
But
Who's
that's,
so-
is she the headmistress?
No,
The
Helena Marcos.
Marcos.
is
Don't
the
they-
Did
Black
they mention?
Queen.
Did they
Don't
talk
they
about
call her
Marcos
the
previously?
directress?
Oh, they did.
The
Okay.
directress. That's the
Yep.
word.
She's the
Yes,
directress.
the
Directress.
But the headmistress is Miss Marcos.
But it is interesting because I was thinking
Got
on
it,
this
got it.
visit when Sarah says no, they live in town, and it's like no, they must think they go to town, but they're
Right.
actually sleeping in whatever their lair is or whatever.
Right.
I just wanted to, before we get deeper into the story, I wanted to say, I know you would never think on paper that this is a compared to Halloween film, but I finally got to listen to the 1994 Criterion Laserdisc commentary.
I think that's on
of John
YouTube.
Carpenter and Jamie
Yeah.
Lewis. Yes. And I've always been like, I want to know what a pre-H2O Jamie has to say about Halloween. It was
Sure.
everything I could have
Yep.
dreamed of. And even John, because he's kind of in his melancholy, there's been 4 and 5. And
What year was it recorded?
94.
94.
Oh wow.
So I couldn't believe it. I could probably pull it up my phone right now. He says that he is indebted to Suspiria, in which Halloween owes a lot to. And I'm like, you know what?
released
That-
the year after.
Yeah. But enough time before they shot Halloween and before he made that score. And if you think about it, I mean, it's a very
Sure.
simple rendition. And also, the slow burn. Susie going into that lair is Laurie walking across the street to that house.
Oh yeah, totally.
In a total suburban
Tension building.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same exact
That scene
concept.
is scary.
Yeah.
That scene when we were watching it earlier tonight, it's scary. It's scarier than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Like I knew that everybody always talks about the ending of Suspiria is so scary, the tagline, but I was sitting on the couch being like, I'm kind of scared.
Well, that's why I don't like
What's
that.
going to happen to her?
There was a recent study saying the scariest movies of all time based off listening to real heart rates. And I'm like, Suspiria is different. It's not like constant jumping. It's like, yeah, it just kind of oozes and you feel it. And it's, I dare someone to just watch it alone in the dark. And then like, you'll tell me, you watch that with 12 friends at a Halloween party, like you're just going to be laughing. But I think your viewing
Right.
horror is based
I
off
think,
of,
okay, so 1977, this movie's released. We're going on 47 years in between, right, to now. It's a long time, right? So throughout the early 80s, VCR culture, VHS culture becomes really big, video stores. Kids are probably, if they even know what this is, this movie probably had a long stretch of being that vibe movie, like you said. Put it on at a party, put it on and get stoned, put it on and take some mushrooms.
My cousin works at a head
whatever.
shop and he has a bootleg
And he's
copy
got
from
this-
Italy.
Yeah, and we're going to watch it. And watching it in that capacity is fun.
Yeah.
Like you said, watch it with your friends and you're all talking and all that stuff. And it's cute. And it's like, wow, look at the colors, man.
Right,
like it
right.
doesn't seem like, like I said, just keep saying it's like so foreign. But also, there's this other life of it just being really fucking scary and taking it seriously and just kind of sitting down and watching it. Not stoned, or I mean, you could be stoned and still get scared. But I think it's had many lives in these like 47, close to 50 years
Yeah.
that it's been around. Of the kind, especially with home video. Oh my God, we've got an audience. You can be quiet. Yeah, so it's interesting the many lives that this movie's had, especially in a kind of a home video way, and now with streaming. I know it's not super available. It is on the Criterion
I know,
channel.
like I said, I think it's only on Tubi. I don't get that. Why can't you rent? I mean, it's kind of nice. I do like.
Can
when
you not
something-
rent it on digital platforms?
I don't think so. I think it's just on Tubi. And who wants to watch Suspiria with commercials?
Well, then you just get yourself a Criterion
Exactly,
channel.
I do.
There's a really nice 4K transfer of it.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I can't believe the 4K. When I finally saw it on the big screen in 4K,
I
I'm
would love
noticing
to own
things
this in
I'd never
4K.
seen before.
Bet these colors look incredible.
Yeah, and even the scene when she first gets kind of hypnotized
Oh,
by the
it's-
lady and Albert.
Girl,
he,
it's on
he
Prime right
smiles, and it's so creepy. It's on what?
It's on Prime right now.
Oh no, you're thinking of the remake. It can't be.
Girl, I'll hit play.
Hit
right
play.
now.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I haven't checked in a while, but great. That's good because for the longest time,
I
it's
mean,
hard
that
to
was
find.
definitely the case when I rented it from Netflix
I mean,
in
things move.
2010.
Things move all the time.
Is that I
so,
think that
yeah.
back then you needed to get a hold
disc.
of a physical disc of it in the early days of streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've had so many renditions of it over the years, and there's so much great commentary and making ofs and all that. I was going to say, I know you haven't seen Deep Red, but I was going to say that Deep Red has that same. You actually see the twist in the beginning and don't realize it until the end. I'm not giving anything away because I want you to watch it, but you know how technically, if you watch closely and kind of listen, you can hear her saying, the iris turned the blue one. Deep Red has the same. I'll never forget watching Deep Red for the first time and just probably on VHS going, do I want to rewind? No. And then I was like, holy shit.
And then kind of later in the
the
movie when you see their like witchy tea room, it's like a tea room.
Oh, yeah, and it's right
and you
behind
see
her.
and you see the mural and you're like, wow, look at that fucking mural on the wall.
I know.
And
But
then
how
you kind
cool
of
when you
put
when
together
you watch it for the second time and
when
you're
you
like,
watch it
she's
later.
right
Yep.
in front of it. So cool.
Deep Red is from 1975. Okay. Also Argento. According to Wikipedia, Deep Red is, in fact, a giallo film.
Yes. I think
And-
it's giallo if it's more like murder mystery.
Yeah, according to
slasher-y.
Wikipedia, listeners, in Italian cinema, giallo is a genre of murder mystery fiction that often contains slasher, thriller, psychological horror, psychological thriller, sexploitation, and less frequently supernatural horror elements.
A lot of hot babes,
So I
too.
think, yeah, and that's what also I think Suspiria kind of sets itself apart from some of those other 70s Italian produced horror movies, is that there is a lot of TNA in those. There's a lot of nudity.
Which you would think that Suspiria could easily go in that direction at times,
Yeah.
but it never really does it.
Yeah, that's why I think it's defended often because people say, oh, it's gratuitous and violence against women, but it's also like this is almost female-only
yeah.
cast with no romantic interests. Like it is. It's just
You got
about
your
women.
himbo ballerina.
Right, I know.
In it.
I
was looking up that actor. He was a Spanish pop star. He was a pop star. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's funny because I heard he's what when they're arguing at the.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What did she say? But I'm not much of a gossip. Yeah.
Miguel Boise.
Is that the one that's okay? All right. I didn't know if it was. Oh yeah.
Now, do you feel like this was almost the start of the horror cliche of like an epic opening scene? Because I don't really know if you know what I mean. Like kind of like the Scream movies that kind of you have that horror opening scene that is not really based within the actual flow of the story. Like I mean that's kind of interesting to me. I mean, of course, we do see Susie first, which is interesting, and then we have this, but then it's like we have that kind of like once you see Sydney after all the Scream.
I was gonna
you have that
say-
feeling, okay, I'm breathing, and it's
Yeah.
like we see Susie on the most bright
You-
sunny
you
day
get
with
your-
her
you
gorgeous
get your
little
opening
shawl
death.
and- yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of
Is
that.
is it a little psycho?
Well, I mean,
kind
Well,
of.
that Psycho doesn't have an opening.
Psycho doesn't really have an opening sequence where somebody dies in like the first 10 minutes.
Marion.
But that's that's almost 40 minutes.
But
in
at the
movie.
time in the 1960s,
Sure.
it was a huge
Yeah, no, I
gag.
get it.
Of course.
It was a huge gag. Audiences were like, what the fuck? She's our star, and you just murdered her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the movie has been going on for half an hour. So I think in the 60s, people would have like lost their mind and tore the movie theater apart if they did that in 10 minutes.
Right.
So it took another
I see what you
decade and a
mean,
half
like-
No, I
Yeah.
see what you
to
mean.
get here.
But
So-
does it open with Jessica Harper?
Yes.
at the
Getting off the
airport.
plane?
At the
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
getting off the plane. Yeah, yeah, because she gets to the school. Pat runs away, and then we get
Whenever
Pat.
I'm in an airport, I pretend I'm Susie. I be walking with my bag. Like,
Whenever I'm in the back of an Uber, I like to pretend like I'm Susie.
oh yeah.
I love though that this movie is this school is in Germany. It's this Italian
Yeah.
production, very continental, and our first girl who gets the big first murder, Pat Hingle. Pat, open the door, Pat. Yeah, that sounds very continental.
I was gonna say this is like my Harry Potter. Like I want to go to like some foreign school.
You want to go to the ballet academy?
Beat witches up, and yeah, like that's my What do you call
No,
it?
I'm actually
it's a boarding school run by witches.
I'm super
I'd go.
into this. You don't need to kill me.
That's what I'm saying. These witches aren't eating babies or anything. They got a kid right there. They don't eat him.
The
In
creepy
fact,
kid.
Yeah.
The creepy kid and the housekeeper.
In his Angus Young
Albert.
AC/DC costume.
Very Village of the Damned.
Yeah. They're not eating him.
Right. That
So-
dog attacked him because that dog knew what was up. And
Well, yeah. Okay. So,
the book interestingly talks about that because it's like usually we don't see what happens because we don't want to feel bad for Albert because
Right.
the dog was actually kind of intuitive.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to
that-
see a kid get mauled by a dog.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's talk about Jessica. I think she is so beautiful. Like I said, she's not like a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed 19-year-old girl. She was 28 years old, but
Right.
And again, I didn't really think about it, but again, the book I was reading compared it to the whole Snow White thing, and yeah, she has that Snow White.
She does look like Snow White.
Yeah.
I think they said like she looks like a 40-year-old woman who's been through shit, but also has that vulnerable innocence. And I'm like, yeah, she's totally like. We're on board with her, and we're scared for her, but we also see her smoking that cigarette. Like, damn, what am I going to do?
now, going back to the 70s, we already have been introduced at this point to Brooke Shields in the States, and so we have this kind of precedent for a young girl put into adult situations. Mm-hmm. And you said originally Argento did kind of want this to be younger girls, even to the point where I read that they put the doorknobs higher on the doors, which I only noticed in like witchy areas. Like when she went into their offices, the doorknobs were like at her face, and she was like opening.
Styled
Is
like
that
little
European
kids too.
though? Anyway,
In the middle, a lot of times the doorknob is in the middle.
Susie's like reaching.
Yeah. So when it gets nixed by the studio, and they're like, "No, we're not going to do that. Let's not go crazy. Let's cast, adults." I just think that Jessica Harper had a youthful enough look, and it's never really implied their ages. Mm-hmm. And I just thought maybe, like you said, is she supposed to be 21?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be
Maybe
17?
she's supposed to be 17.
Is she supposed to be 32?
Yeah.
You could probably, I mean, realistically, if you're going to try to make a career out of dance, you probably can't be that old to get to the school. But for the sake of the movie, I think her age is fluid. Mm-hmm. It's kind of up to us. So I kind of am thinking they're supposed to maybe be high school graduate age.
I think so.
Kind of. But there's something about, at some points she does look her age. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She really does. But at others, she does have a kind of youthful naivete.
It reminds me of Joe Bob Briggs
look.
talking about Sissy Spacek and Carrie, how in certain lightings you're like, oh, there's a 17-year-old. In other lightings you're like, damn, there's 30-year-old Sissy Spacek.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get a little Karen Allen from Indiana Jones from her. But I don't know. I think she's a successful casting, and it is interesting, some of the dialogue, because this is a boarding school and they have the whole the characters teasing each other and all of that.
But it is kind of when she's like, "Can I borrow your shoes?" Oh, yeah, give them back, yeah. And then they say you're going to pay me $50 a week, and then that's why Sarah's like, all that talk of money shake you up. She's like, I'm not really used to it. Like it is like immediately, even as a viewer, we're like, ugh.
Yeah, and I took that as a very well, Americans are very puritanical. We don't really talk about money and how much you make and how much you pay for things and all that stuff. Unless you got it on sale, then you can tell everybody. Or if it has pockets. But so I thought that was a very the other American students, saying like, these weirdos, like they're over here like nickel and diming me to borrow a pair of fucking shoes, you know.
And she doesn't even want to live in the academy because she doesn't want to live in a boarding house. She wants to go.
She's like, I hate.
She wants to go live with Judy from Sleepaway Camp.
So that gives a little more, clue to her being older too.
That's true.
She's like,
That's true.
I can't stand to live
like a
boarding
10-year-old.
school
Yeah. She wants to go live with Olga.
And that's what's scary too, because it makes me wonder, like, is Olga like, or maybe if some students are in on it, or like maybe Olga was kind of like part of the plan. Like,
I thought it was going to go in a First Omen direction when I revisited this time. Did you see the First Omen? But there's a similar character in that movie of a nun roommate that ends up that she's kind of in on all of this.
Okay.
And she's like going to be taking the habit for the Church of Satan. But yeah, I kind of thought it might go in that direction with that character. But they just kind of forget about her.
She's just a fierce bitch.
Yep.
But I did like, if I'm gonna go into that route, after every time someone dies, Olga is she was a busybody. And then even after the piano teacher dies, she says something like, "Oh, it's a shame what happened to him, but he was trouble." Or something like she's kind of always making excuses for everyone who died, which is.
I think that she really wants to pledge the witch sorority.
Maybe she's
campaigning for it.
Yeah, maybe she's seen what's going on. She knows what's up with Miss Marcus, and she's just like, man, fuck that. I want to be a witch, man.
I was going to say, the opening scene, obviously, it's funny, everyone praises it, and I think I like most of the rest of the film better. But yeah, that open heart thing, I mean, that can't really, that shit
is wild. I was like,
that still
he's supposed to have
mind.
stabbed her chest wide open.
And speaking of dream logic with that scene, that when he really like lunges at her, it almost goes to a completely different room. That you're like,
they're on the roof all of a sudden.
We're on the roof. We're above the entryway.
Yeah.
So it's that dream logic of like, oh, we're just kind of playing with space.
Question: that man?
No, it's Miss Tanner.
I was going to
with
say
her nails and hair. No, I'm just
I was
kidding.
going to say, was it Pavlos, the Romanian manservant?
I don't know what kind
Who
of
was it?
minions they have.
I thought it was just this
Satan.
I just thought that it was just this demon that they
Could
conjured.
it be?
I don't know.
Satan.
There's a scene before Sarah dies where you just see the hallway and someone with like a cape.
Yeah.
And this kind of bob that grabs the knife, which I never really paid attention to before, and that really freaked me out too. So who knows who's all working for them?
That's true,
or whatever.
So let's break down some of the characters just in case. Listeners, I hope you've watched this movie. But let's break down some of the characters because we've been mentioning some of them, and there's some fun characters besides. I mean, we've been talking about Susie, our main lead, who is the American student.
Played by Jessica Harper.
Plays by Jessica Harper, that comes to this school in Germany, the Tanz Academy.
This school that is in no way filmed in Italy.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
And the Tanz Academy is run by, in part, by Miss Tanner, played by Alida Valli, who
I looked her up. Oh my gosh, she
Alida
was stunning when she was young.
Alida Valli had kind of a big
Those eyes.
crossover career in America.
Oh, wow.
She is in The Third Man with Orson Welles.
Oh.
She's like the female lead of The Third Man.
And I think it was the actress who played Mona Blanc's final film.
Yeah,
if I believe.
and she was a silent film actress. No, I'm thinking of. Hold on.
Okay, so Miss Tanner, Alida Valli, she was in The Third Man. She is, I mean, technically where she was born, it was still Italy, but today it's Croatia. She is a handsome woman. She is kind of the lead dance teacher, and she rules the dance class.
And her hairstyle, like that devil horn.
This
Super
no
severe.
nonsense bitch.
It's a very Nurse Ratched, like kind of almost a victory roll situation. And she's got these big white teeth. And, like she's always wearing this like like a business suit, like with a long skirt. And then we have the benefactress.
Joan Bennett.
Who's Joan Bennett?
Madame Blanc.
Oh, Madame Blanc. Okay, Madame Blanc. She is the headmistress. What did we say she was?
I mean, yeah, she's definitely
yeah.
like the owner of the school. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However they
The
called her.
headmistress of the
Yeah.
of the dance academy.
They called her something. It was very interesting the way they introduced her. But Madame Blanc is played by Joan Bennett, who, as Scott said, was a silent film actress.
Yeah.
She was 67 at the... No, 67. Okay. 67. She was born in 1910 at the time of making this movie. And for the 1970s, 67-year-old women looked about 90 today.
Yeah.
You know, and she looked great. Those blue eyes and her black hair. She looked like striking, right? And I think she plays Madame Blanc a little bit more ambiguous than Miss Tanner. Because Miss Tanner is very much like, oh, you're tired? Oh, you're about to faint? Keep dancing.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas I think Madame Blanc is a little bit more like, oh, let's sit down and talk about it.
She's scary too. Like,
She's very scary.
Because when Susie's like, "Wait, I saw somebody last night," her face is like, "Oh,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can
She's
see her
just like,
kind of
God
go,
damn it.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Like immediately, she's like, "Okay, we're gonna have to worry." about her.
Yeah. And you kind of think that, to me, I kind of thought that Madame Blanc was like the head bitch in charge, but then it turns out that there's this mysterious Miss
Directress,
Marcos, who's the director.
But I like when Madame Blanc's like, "Oh, your aunt's Carol Banyan. Oh, she's a wonder." Like that little exchange, and that always makes you wonder if like Susie's a good witch. Like if her aunt was like, you know,
how does she know her?
Yeah. Right. Like,
And I think that they might go into stuff like that. I mean, we don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the remake, but I think that the remake goes into stuff like that too.
You know, I tried to watch it. I wasn't even hating it, but I just couldn't do it.
We can talk about it a little bit at the end of the episode.
And that's fine. And that's fine.
I feel like Madame Blanc and Miss Tanner are kind of lesbian coded.
Oh, for sure.
Miss Tanner. For sure.
Yeah.
It's even in my little book. So
such fun characters.
Okay. And then there's some other students there. Like we said, there's Olga, who is kind of like fierce. You know, she's got these like really cool Princess Leia hairstyle at one point. She lives off campus. She kind of can't be bothered with Susie. Sarah lives on campus. Sarah, an American student? Or is she supposed to be an American student?
I think she's supposed to be American.
Was she the one that said like, "Oh, they're talking about money"? Was that Sarah?
Uh-huh.
Okay, then she's supposed to be American.
Okay,
but she is not.
And then she was friends with Pat, who went missing, but it's kind of slowly, revealed. I wanted to just point out. You might have saw it on my stories the other night. I was being dorky, but my favorite scene, even as a kid, there's something about when Miss Tanner goes up to Susie after Susie says she doesn't want to live on campus. And Miss Tanner she kind of shoos Sarah away, and she's like, "I never realized how strong-willed you were. Once you make up your mind about something, nothing will change it for you. My compliments." And it's this really weird foreshadowing, because I feel like she's accepting that this is good. Susie, you're going to be a threat, but I'm accepting the challenge that we're going to have to deal with you. It's Susie, we don't realize it right then that she's strong-willed, but she is. She doesn't stop trying to slowly figure out what's going on, and she's going to take this to the end of the film. So
maybe that's Miss Tanner at that moment saying, "Okay, we either need to get rid of this one, or we need to bring her in."
Yeah,
like
right.
Like we got two options.
Maybe
here.
she could be an asset to our coven.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking if they're a witches' coven, like. And they are running. I mean, it's co-ed. It is a co-ed. There are boys that go to the school and I guess live there too.
I mean, is Mark the cute male ballerina? Is he a witch, or does he just kind of do their bidding?
Well, I'm glad he's not in the room at the end. Yeah. I think he's just like he said. I think Olga says. That bitch Tanner has him under her finger or whatever because he doesn't have any money. Money.
This himbo that just kind of does their bidding.
Yeah. And that's why even when Sarah goes missing, his performance is really scary because he's like, I heard a car come and then she left in the middle. Like he's kind of like lying for them, and that's what it's like. He might not be a witch, but he might know. Just like the piano teacher saying, "I'm blind, I'm not deaf." Like I know that shit goes on here. That's what he
then
says.
maybe he's just on work study. That's his financial aid.
He's like, I don't want to ask.
They're like, you
questions.
can go here. We're gonna cut your tuition, but you got to do some witchy minion stuff. You're gonna be our familiar for a minute.
Yeah.
And once we're done,
But Susie's
You're
trying
out.
to get some. She's like, "You sure you can't stay? Not even for 5 minutes?"
I
Like,
mean, why wouldn't you?
I'm telling
he's
you.
like, "No, I have to go back to the school."
There is a
Like-
there is a scene. Speaking of just kind of when I mentioned dance movies, of that when this movie does feel like it needs to go into ballet, you can kind of tell that they did cast dancers, and then Dario Argento was just shouting out direction of do something, do some dance move, and everybody is doing different, just kind of I didn't
Yeah.
know what,
There's
what
not
you call
enough
it.
dance in this
Like,
film, but I do love
ballet
that we get a
moves. It's
couple
not like they're
scenes of-
doing the full 2018 like choreography. It's like everybody's doing something different.
Yeah.
It's-
Just like kind of a warm up, kind of like, yeah.
It's that bit
Time
of
to
all
close.
the.
Yeah, plie. Second the bellies, girls.
It's the All Stars 2 promo shoot where Trixie and Thorgy are just like, "Did you see what I'm doing in the corner there?" When they
Yeah.
said just ad lib for 30 seconds, and they're just like doing some like Wanda Maximoff like
Yeah.
power moves.
But yeah, that scene always makes me kind of crack a smile of just all of these dancers just doing all of this random stuff.
Okay, so I would like to
And like
talk
the
about-
zoom in on Miss Tanner's eyes, like when she's like, "Come on, Susie, get those
Yeah.
legs up!" Like it's before she collapses. It's so scary.
Yeah.
I want to see Mrs. Tanner as like in Drop Dead Gorgeous, shouting out dance moves
Yeah.
to all of them. I think that she
That would
needs
be the
to.
more horror
I think
version
that
of
she
Drop
needs
Dead
to.
You know, I'm not from the dance world by any means.
I've taken a dance class
You've taken a
in my
dance
day.
class in your-
I've taken
in your-
some. I was a dancer when I was a child, and then
But
a little bit in college.
I always think it's so interesting that you see, like, in Drop Dead Gorgeous, the choreographer, and then you see, like, Abby Lee Miller, and then you see Miss Tanner, and they're always women of a certain carriage.
You're right. Even on Gilmore Girls,
And you're like, girl, what? You do it. Show me. Then I'll try. I don't know. Maybe they were probably fine.
We're
dancers at one
generalizing.
point. I've got three options here, and only one of them is an actual person in life. The rest are like from movies and TV shows. But you know, am I wrong? Let's talk a little bit about the production design of this movie. And I think
So
this is
cool.
something that this movie is really kind of known for, and one of the big things that people talk about when describing it. First thing is just like
Colors.
really fucking scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the second thing is this movie looks crazy, and like I said, this movie probably holds a space for people who were teenagers in the 80s and did a lot of drugs and had a VCR, you know, because
Yeah.
it's just fucking cool
well,
to
even
look
like
at.
I wish the school was real. That was
Yeah.
all like a set, but just they did the
Yeah.
most
Wild.
they could with those
Wild.
shots.
The
of just-
exterior of that
looks
school
great.
is so cool. That
Yeah.
red building.
Yeah.
It's production design that you just do not see this anymore in
So,
modern movies.
Is the the scene where the piano teacher gets killed by the dog? Is that a set?
It can't be.
no,
it's too big.
that's a location. It has
too
to.
big.
I swear my little book made it sound like, because if you really look at those buildings, it
I think
looks like they
that's-
could be
I
fake.
think that's some
Paintings
Italian
or
square that they
something.
Yeah,
found. I don't
okay,
know.
that seems
Maybe.
to be-
Could be.
Because obviously they're in Munich and they're in that
I wouldn't
bar
put-
with the
I wouldn't put it
lederhosen
past-
and the dancing. But,
But
Dario
on,
Argento
on film
for
though,
creating that. I don't know.
like matte paintings on glass in the 70s shot on film look fucking real.
Yeah.
So
that
maybe.
watching
and
it
with
this time, I
nothing
was
else
like, oh,
moving in
shit.
the background to give you scale or to give you something in front of it, sells it even more.
Yeah.
So it very well could have been just the floor that he's standing on with lights, and then that's just a glass matte painting completely around him. That could very well be the case. Because,
Lucanio Tovoli is who shot this movie.
but yeah, the colors are wild. This apartment building that Pat goes to meet her friend at. What is this building?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
What is this building? This is some like Julie Taymor fantasy, like
And
but
the tile that she falls through.
Yes!
Like, even that's like on shirts now.
the
like,
glass,
yeah.
the glass like skylight with all the different color panes
Yeah.
and like you know what do they call the glass painting? at churches.
Yes,
in the
stained
windows.
glass?
Stained
Yeah,
glass.
yeah.
Yeah, stained glass.
Thank you.
Well, then even
ceiling.
Olga's apartment is jarringly just black and white, but then it's so vivid with like
Right.
the florals or whatever. Like, yeah, everything is just
Because sometimes
mind-blowing.
they do a thing where it's like it almost looks like a little black box theater with some color thrown in there, but you're like, no, that's intentional. There's something
Yeah.
there. It's just lit that way to be black, right?
I hate to just bring up another movie we've discussed, but like I even get Sleeping Beauty vibes from like the inside the school and the same with the castle and the architecture and
Yeah.
the
Oh,
edges
sure,
and the
yeah,
coloring. I mean, really, like it's like
No,
it's
but
a,
when-
you know, again, we're talking
Yeah.
about fantasy.
When she
it would
opens
be
the iris
cartoon.
and goes through the door, it's very
Yeah.
much like, okay, now
yeah,
you're going to go
when
through the
Aurora
fireplace.
goes through the
Yeah.
fireplace, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's all movie.
Obviously, he was influenced. by a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
that
all
stuff.
movie history, and I think it's just part of the fabric of if you're a filmmaker, you just have all of this in you,
Yeah.
you know, and whether intentional or not, it's there now. We can, you know,
I
you
actually
can't deny it.
nerd alert. I one time put Suspiria's finale on silent and played the Battle of the Forces of Good and Evil score from Sleeping Beauty, the dragon scene, and it works
Oh, that's
perfectly
cool.
with Susie escaping.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. But yeah, I mean, and even the colors. I mean, I think I've heard people say like, you know, blue means safety, red means someone's about to die, and then green is kind of like this. Like Sarah's whole death scene is kind of like this green vibe following her. But
Oh, are you talking about bisexual lighting? Because this
Yeah.
movie's
It's not
full
quite-
of it.
I don't think it's quite.
No,
it
it's
isn't
not. I
quite
know.
bisexual
I know.
lighting.
I know.
and that's why I love when you have her
It's a little more primary.
when she goes and talks to the doctor, Professor Melius or whatever. Like we finally have this scene of exposition or whatever, like something that's not the school. And
the
like,
scene
it
with
just,
Udo
Yeah, Udo
Kier.
Kier.
Oh my God.
How he pronounces, I have it in my notes, how he pronounces the occult.
occult.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all say, the other guy says it too.
I just
Occult.
love that.
And I
scene.
think that we're just so familiar with this actor that even when Udo is speaking English, he still sounds so German.
One
But
thing
yeah.
my research on this watch made me realize is Udo's speech is very based in reality. Bad luck isn't brought by broken mirrors, but by broken minds. You know, Sarah's kind of a mess, blah, blah, blah. But then Professor Melius of an older generation, he's very like, oh, you don't believe. Magic is everywhere. And it's,
Right.
it's so, you know, not to get into things, but like, you know, we all have moments, whether it's with a psychic who knows more than we think they should or whatever, like the magic is everywhere. And we're so reluctant to it. And I think I really like that because Susie's not, you know, aloof, but she has to accept that, you know, something is really real and evil happening and it's a threat. Because she's kind of, you know, that's why she's going to talk to them because she doesn't really want to believe that something happened to Sarah. But deep down she does know. And the last thing Sarah says to her is, Susie, do you know anything about witches? And that's why they ask her and she's like, for some reason, I feel like someone said that to me, but she wasn't conscious for it. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that juxtaposition between the two male who talk the most in the film.
That's true. I do want
And then that shot when it goes into the mirror or the reflection of the window and it gets all blurry when it like when they're talking and all the aerial shots. It's
Yeah.
like the witches know she's there talking to them. They're following her.
Sure.
And it's
You know, that was something that I guess I hadn't noticed when what's the piano player's name when he gets offed in that square, and it's the POV shot and it's coming. You hear like flapping.
Yeah.
oh yeah, you can
It's
see them
like-
on the
yeah.
on the building. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only time you really see like a true witch figure.
Oh,
as
I
far
didn't
as,
even
like,
see anyone
You almost
around.
yeah.
them,
you almost
no.
think that you're going to see them flying on a broom
Daniel.
Yeah.
at
Daniel's
that
his name.
time.
Yes. But I do, listeners, I want to go back really quickly to Udo Kier. If you're not familiar with Udo Kier, you probably are.
We've covered movies with them.
I've covered movies with him. He's in My Own Private Idaho. He has these striking blue eyes and this thick German accent. He kind of made a little name for himself in the States. I want to say in the 90s he had a little kind of mini renaissance.
He's in the Madonna video. Which Madonna video is he in? I can't remember.
He's in the Deeper and Deeper.
Yeah.
Video. He had a little mini renaissance in the late 90s. He was in, like I said, My Own Private Idaho, which was in the early 90s. But he was in a lot of these kind of like indie movies. And I think it's because he had this kind of history of, these European movies in the 70s. But I always just kind of knew him as an older gentleman, because I started seeing him in the 90s in things. He's in Armageddon.
He just had a film called Swan Song or something that's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one,
Isn't he in Argento's Dracula as well? I think he's in
Probably.
that.
I think he's in Mother of Tears as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, you see him here in 1977. Let's see.
very handsome.
His birth year is not on IMDb, but
Good.
yeah, good for
That's
him.
mine.
But I mean, he's a younger man in the late 70s, and it's like, wow, he's like
Very
striking
handsome.
looking. He's
Yeah, those
Very
eyes.
beautiful
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
That movie, Swan Song. I want to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just kind of a kooky little indie European foreign film guy. Okay, he's in Blade, he's in Shadow of the Vampire, Dracula 3000, Blood Rain. He's worked with Rainier Werner Fassbender, Gus Van Sant, Argento. Let's see, he was in a couple of Von Trier movies. He's appeared in almost all of Von Trier movies, Lars von Trier's movies, in with the exception of Antichrist's. House of Jack
Paul
Bones.
Morrissey's Blood for Vampires.
There
and
you
Flesh
go.
for
He was in.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, I think he worked with Warhol.
Cool guy.
In the 70s and 80s. Yeah. So, but again, I'm just so familiar with him in his later years as an older man.
It's fun to see him
that
young.
It's really
Yeah.
fun to see him as a young man. And I guess he was just openly gay throughout his career. He never really was in the closet. According to him, he's quoted as saying, "No one ever asked me about my sexuality. Maybe it was obvious, but it didn't make any difference because all that mattered was the role I was playing."
Sure, he was always just kind of accepted to be this kooky outsider.
He never.
Yeah.
He said, "As long as I did a good job in the part, no one cared about my sexuality," which is interesting with an Italian director. But I think that it was probably just an issue of he just wasn't in the closet,
Yeah.
but he just never really came out, but just kind of didn't deny it if he was asked. And I think to be
Well,
working
Dario wouldn't have cared.
And I think just to be working all the way back down to like the late 60s and up through, the present, that's kind of a feat, So we love Udo Kier. Go look him up. Go watch the Deeper and Deeper video by Madonna. He is just at his kookiest.
I would love
there.
to watch Suspiria with Madonna. I bet she loves this movie. I bet it's probably one of her top 10 favorite movies.
Yeah.
You know who loves this movie? Oh my gosh, who's single white female?
Sharon Stone.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yes, it's her or the other person.
Bridget Fonda.
I think Bridget Fonda said it was one of her favorite movies. And also, I saw, rest in peace, Naya Rivera.
Naya Rivera.
She for some magazine a few years before she passed did like a whole reincarnation of
Like a photo spread.
Susie, like the final.
That's Naya
Oh,
Rivera.
that's
wow.
cool. Look at that.
Cool.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
you guys will have to post that.
But that's the cool thing about this movie. It just has this.
right. It always feels. It's always going to feel cult.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think that's my limited test. If that's how you say it. Like, if someone doesn't like this movie, I don't think I'm down with that.
But I think just visually, stylistically, that image alone, you're just like, oh, Suspiria.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to look at the, Naya Rivera as Susie. You're just like, oh, this is a Suspiria. Like,
and it's been mentioned.
homage.
Scream 4 has a little mention of it. It is Juno. I forgot the context, but Juno.
Their talk, Juno, Elliot Page and Jason Bateman are talking about Italian body horror movies.
Oh, okay.
And I think that Giallo might... No, it's not Giallo. I don't know. They're talking about Italian horror movies,
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
in episode 3 of Agatha All Along, when they're in the recording studio,
You're obsessed.
there are some very cool Suspiria-esque images in that episode as well. I told you we were going to go down the road. Anyway.
I was gonna. I looked up the pool. Apparently, it's open to the public.
I was
so we
curious
need to
about the
go.
pool.
This fucking
My
pool.
God.
I was curious about this pool.
obviously,
Is it in Italy?
School's not real. Munich, I think.
Munich,
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Oh, so it was actually shot in Italy and
In Munich.
in Germany then.
Yeah.
I just assumed that it was
Quite a
all.
bit of it was
I
shot
just
in Germany.
assumed that it was all
some
shot in
airports,
Italy.
Germany
too,
as well.
But yeah. But yeah, that.
I love all of their
I
cool
feel like that
bathing
pool's
suits in
been
that
on
scene.
film somewhere else. I don't know if it's like a Wes Anderson movie or what, but I feel like there's been times where I'm like, I feel like I've seen that again. But
I just want to mention that Jessica Harper, I thought she was wearing a one-piece bathing suit with sleeves, but it's a T-shirt and like a
oh,
panty
yeah.
that's like the same color. Like a bikini bottom and a T-shirt that are the exact same color and fabric, but it looks like a one-piece bathing suit with sleeves.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the fuck gets a bathing suit with sleeves? I've never seen that before. But it appears to be two pieces.
I was glad that we got to see the pool because when they mentioned that they have a pool,
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, a pool?
Ooh, a
I'm gonna go to
pool.
school
I'm
now.
coming over.
Even
Yeah.
better.
right. Now, you had just talked about Halloween. You had just done a Halloween 2 episode.
Yep.
Sarah's death scene is a little reminiscent of Laurie being chased through the hospital. I feel like
A little
there's
bit. I can
and then
see
there's
that.
like that like window.
She crawls through the window.
Yeah. And
Oh, sure,
falls,
sure.
You know,
The high window.
that reminded me of Laurie going through the.
I have a memory of that scene with Sarah being a little more graphic, but you can kind of tell that those are not barbed wire that she's falling on.
If there's a,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying there's a crack in the film for me,
Yeah.
but like that scene's long. That
Yeah.
I'm not in love with her death scene.
But it's funny,
I don't know.
the scene that I think that I found the most shocking when I was 25
Yeah.
was that scene.
Yeah.
When I watched it
Same.
tonight, I
kind
was
of-
just like,
I kind
it's
of had
okay.
a memory of it being more graphic.
Again, that's
and
another nightmare.
But I told you that,
Why
like,
is there a room full of razor wire
Yeah.
in the school?
and then the like on the wall of that room are like torture kind of like weapons that I never even noticed before. Like very scary.
She could have made the jump from one ledge to the other. I'm saying she just fell into the razor wire. But yeah, when we watch it this time, I was like, it's wire,
yeah.
which uncomfortable. Would hurt still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember it being a little bit more like you could. I have memories of you like seeing it,
Yeah.
cutting her, and stuff, which is a mark of an effective movie.
This is true.
Because to us in our memory, that's what we saw. That's what happened with Psycho.
Yep.
Everybody remembered Marion being chopped up in the shower, but you don't see it. So that's just effective filmmaking. That's what it does when you get scared in the movies. Your
Yeah.
brain fills in the rest. So
Oh wait, here we go. Real quick. Sorry, I'm going to read some from my book.
okay, fix your mic.
Throughout the film, there is a distinct yet indefinable hint of lesbianism to Tanner, as there is also to Joan Bennett's gravel voice, Madame Blanc. Here she is draped in an outfit both age-appropriate and
Anachronistic.
look at me, just flopping. Recalling perhaps Bennett's background in classical Hollywood cinema, rendering her otherwise cool, calm, and in control persona oddly eerie. So I thought, there we go with the whole Miss Tanner being lesbian.
Yeah, and
coded.
also Madame Blanc. I feel like her look as well is very like I would say patrician. Just it's very she's covered up and buttoned up and all of that.
It's almost kind of like coded lesbian from old Hollywood movies,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that's where they're going with that. So interesting that to be in these films. I mean, I wonder if how much of her films were actually silent because
She would have been young.
she would have been really young.
Yeah.
I think they went to sound in like the early 30s. So
It also said Susie tracing the footsteps is also like fairy tale vibes, like Hansel and Gretel, like
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
There's
She played Amy March in the 1933 Little Women.
wow.
Wow.
is that like
She played the
very
younger-
first film?
Actually, I can't remember if this Little Women swaps the ages of some of the daughters they might. I don't remember. But yeah, she plays...
It's the Liz Taylor one that swaps the ages.
Okay, but yeah, she plays Amy March in the 1933 Little Women with Katharine Hepburn.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. I mean, she has some movies in the 20s. She's credited in a 1916 movie, but I mean, she would have been
It looks like she worked up until 1982. She was doing some TV movies. But, I mean, Suspiria was one of the last major films that she made.
But she would have been ostensibly a child actress if she was making movies in the early 20s, which it looks like she was. That's crazy. And here we are in the 70s, like, and she looked great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. For the 70s, like, you would think a woman of that age would look a little older. But she looks really good. I love that. Yeah, you better work, Joan Bennett. I like the 1933 Little Women. Do you like that one more than the 40s?
I like the 40s one.
The Liz Taylor one? Better?
The Liz Taylor one. The Liz Taylor one with Janet Leigh.
Yeah, Janet Leigh and I forget who plays Joe in that one. That Joe is wild. I kind of love her.
Oh, I love her. Hold on.
Yeah, I kind of love her.
June Allison.
June Allison.
Yeah.
Yes, her Joe is crazy. All right.
I have another take from the book that might be a stretch, but I'm interested what you guys think. So this is about the bat scene. Which
I love the bat scene.
Fucking bat.
The bat scene's wild.
Yeah.
That fucking bat.
But it's kind of the moment she's like, all right, like, I need to get this shit over with. Like, and it's because Susie never, again, like, she's a little gung-ho, but not that straightforward of knowing what she's supposed to do, how she's supposed to defeat these witches. And it says, Susie becomes flustered, starts to breathe heavily, exerts herself physically, and then finally lets go once she bashes the bat to death, leaving a blood-stained white towel as the coda to her experience. The white towel being stained with blood is a nice wink at her sexual awakening. The scene after Susie kills the bat shows her having a cigarette, the mandatory post-sex smoke, and looking far less nervous and fragile as she has throughout the entire film. From here on, Susie takes charge and becomes the Nancy Drew of horror, marking her turf and making her way into horror heroine territory.
Sure. Kind of when she becomes a traditional final girl in a movie.
But again, this is, I know we had Black Christmas and Texas Chainsaw, but like this is still pre-Laurie Strode. Yeah. Which is interesting.
This is pre-Laurie crossing the street to go see what her friends are up to.
Right. I mean, I'm like, there's this chance that Halloween might not exist without Suspiria, which is really interesting to me because John loved it so much.
You know what? John Carpenter tangent, but I just watched the made-for-TV movie Somebody's Watching Me this week. That is on the Criterion Channel.
What? Oh, wow.
Somebody's Watching Me. Are you familiar with it?
No.
It was a TV movie that he did with Lauren Hutton.
How have I never heard of that?
She's being stalked in a high-rise apartment in Los Angeles.
Is this...
And he made it back
what
to
year?
back. It is 1978. He, I believe, made both of them back to back. Oh, wow. It was a made-for-TV movie for NBC that he pretty much wrapped production of that, and he went on the set of Halloween.
That's crazy.
Yep. But yeah, check it out. It's streaming this month on the Criterion Channel.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys make of her smile at the end?
Yeah, it's very interesting how, she kind of takes down the coven. As she does so, the entire school starts to just crumble into itself.
It's kind of vampire
Catches
rules.
on fire.
That
she killed the head vampire.
She takes out the head vampire.
And she walks out the door, and she has this smile.
I remember again.
Does she absorb some of the witchy powers when leaving the school?
So I remember as a kid being so fascinated by it. Like it was so confusing. And again, this is just today that I read the take on this book, and I really liked it because I remember always thinking, okay, she's lost her mind. She's a good witch, or she's like, oh damn, I knew this place was crazy, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna this will be the last thing I bother you with the book. I love this. It says, unlike so many of horror's famous final girls, Susie gives no indication that what lies before her is the trauma of recovery. Unlike Laurie Strode, and unlike Sally Hardesty from Texas Chainsaw, this final girl is in control of her body and her environment, and the knowledge fills her with joy. For all the problematic issues of gender politics that haunt Suspiria, from its monstrous witches through to its glamorized display of violence played upon young female bodies, it is this moment above all else that grants Suspiria an important feminist aspect. Like her fairy tale sisters before her, Susie's smile promises that she can live happily ever after. It is a future she earned through her strength, determination, and understanding and acceptance of her own physicality that is proudly both female and feminine. I thought that was really cool.
It's
like instead of being like,
Yeah.
we at the end of Halloween, we're like, thank God she's alive, but oh girl, she's a mess. But
She's
Susie's
gonna-
just like,
yeah.
I'm
I
fine.
think that we can take it like the ending of like an American action movie.
Sure.
It's like
Yeah.
her gotcha suckers kind
Yeah.
of
You're
moment.
right. I love that. Yeah, because
what a man
women aren't
would do.
expected to have
Sure.
that immediate
Yeah.
badassery. It's
what,
like,
what men do at the end of Die Hard, it's just like yippee-ki-yay,
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
wow.
I got you. I blew up the building,
I love this.
and
Yeah.
I won. And that's not what these women do.
Yeah.
These women are now like, I'm scarred for life.
Right.
I got to go live in the woods and collect guns.
We'll,
and-
we'll check back 20
Yeah, we'll check
years
back
later.
yeah, when I'm a wino, alcoholic, addicted to wine, headmistress of a private
Right,
school.
but wow, with this, how great! In 2 seconds, we
Yeah.
have our. Oh, okay, she's good.
Yeah.
And now we can breathe.
Yeah.
And then it says, "You have been watching." Suspiria."
Yes. I mean, is it because she's American that Argento's like, this bitch is going to be
Yeah.
like...
No, I love that.
That's the only explanation that I have
mean,
in my
I
brain.
really
was
I mean,
like,
maybe
take
she
on
can
it.
sublet Olga's sweet
I
apartment.
mean, maybe
Right,
he was
yeah.
ahead
Germany.
of ahead of the times before there even was a final girl time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, at that moment, the concept of Final Girl was not even like in the air. It was just, we had a couple of movies where this had happened. So, yeah, I think it's just, you can kind of go anywhere with your movie. That's the.
And it's the same as Laurie in that Laurie doesn't really know anything's wrong until the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Because, Susie doesn't really know, what's happened to Sarah and stuff like that, so it is that cluelessness that.
Which
that
brings me back to the idea of, is anything really wrong?
Yeah.
Is anything really wrong? It's this idea of witches in this kind of like Wiccan woo-woo white magic, like it's a religion kind of idea of like they're married to Satan, they're gonna eat your baby,
If you piss them off,
they're gonna sour your milk,
gonna die.
and they're gonna ruin your crops,
Yeah.
and
I mean, it would
eat
just.
your husband.
I see what you mean, but I feel like the movie would be different if half an hour in, Susie witnesses some kind of
Sacrifice, yeah.
because then it's like the dynamic would have to change. She'd have to either run or be like, okay, I'm taking them on,
And now I'm going to kill every witch
Yeah.
in Europe.
Yeah.
After this, so it's that's not the story, right? But I do think that at this time in filmmaking and just in history and our kind of knowledge of things, that this idea of witches and it being an occult thing and it being a supernatural thing, and I think today, like, you can go so many more places with quote unquote witches.
Well, it's
and-
interesting of where the remake does go. We can talk a little bit about the Luca remake, but the political context of the remake is kind of the entire movie.
Right.
Too, of that he doesn't just straight up make a shot for shot remake of Suspiria.
No.
Like, he does something kind of interesting with it because, like, it's very post World War II
Yeah.
Berlin at that time, like the Reconstruction and just kind of kind of reflecting on the horrors.
It's
of,
the polar opposite of the rainbow palette. It's just
Yeah.
dark and gray. And that's why I was respecting it, because I'm like, okay, he's doing his thing, but he's not. I mean, why would someone dare to try to make
And
the
that
same
was
look?
kind of my thing when it was announced that he was doing this movie with Tilda. I was just like, dare you even try? And I do kind of admire him taking such a big swing with that movie, of that this isn't like your average horror remake. Like, they're doing some cool artsy fartsy shit with it. Yeah. We saw it at the Dome.
We did see it
Saw it at the Dome.
I forgot
Yep.
about that.
I remember some of the body horror scenes in the ballet studio.
People were-
I've seen
I remember.
that scene.
I remember people having to get up and
some
leave.
Some people.
Yep.
laughed. Yeah, some people laughed.
I blew Pete's mind at the end of that movie that
I was gagged.
It was Tilda's Nutty Professor.
I was gagged. I was
That
like,
she plays, like-
girl,
Isn't she
what?
3 different?
She
Yeah.
plays 3 different
Yeah,
roles.
wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. One of them, I knew something was up, and I was like, "Who? What? Where? Why?" And then he was like, "Oh yeah, that was Tilda too." And I was like, "What, bitch?
Are you
Who?"
talking about the?
the old man?
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Helena Marco's character.
No, the Marcos I figured was her. But the old man, I was like, I knew it was something.
I think I
thought
knew
it was a young
from
man.
because I remember as it was filming,
I knew it wasn't an old man.
I remember seeing paparazzi photos.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Of-
but I
of
knew
her.
I knew it wasn't an old man. It was like obviously this is someone in makeup to make them look like an old man. So I just assumed it was a younger actor that we were going to see in flashback. And they're like, well, we'll just put him in makeup.
Yeah.
And then at in the credits, we're like just sitting there, like looking at checking our phones. And Scott's like, "Oh yeah, Tilda was blah blah blah." And I was like, "Bitch, what did you just tell me right now? We need to rewind. Rewind, please, projector, projectionist."
I think Dakota Johnson's really good in it too.
I forgot she was in it.
Kind of sold me on her.
And Jessica's
she
in
was
it,
in it.
right? She has like a
Yeah,
small
she
part
is,
as a
yeah.
She has a
teacher
little
or
bit part.
something. Yeah.
She's the old man's wife.
Okay.
And she's not playing Susie.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no. Susie's Dakota.
Yeah.
It's Susie spelled S-U-S.
No, but I'm just saying like she's not
Yeah.
playing like an
No.
older version.
No.
This is just happening again.
The only good part of Mother of Tears is when Susie's mentioned for like 2 seconds.
Okay, so they kind of build a whole universe with all of his films at this time. Do they
I mean,
all
Inferno
kind of exist?
was 1980, but I mean, yeah, it's not so much a connection, but the three mothers, like the Mother Suspiriorum and whatever the other two are,
Yeah.
that's what the Inferno's about, and that's what Mother of Tears is about. But that's where it's hard to always defend him because some of his newer stuff is just gross and like I don't know, like Mother of Tears is really bad.
Okay.
And some of the death, like there's a death scene in Mother of Tears that like fucked me up so bad that maybe now in the world of Terrifier would be nothing, but like it was bad.
We sometimes watch his Dracula. It's pretty stupid.
Yeah. Apparently there was one a couple years ago about something with a blind woman or something that was supposed to be half decent that I wanted to watch because it's just
It's called Dark Glasses.
yeah. I had heard some moderately good things.
The
about
poster
that.
is giving me They Live.
Mater Suspiriorum, Helena Marcos is the mother of Sighs, the oldest and wisest of the three
Sighs.
mothers, the Black Queen. Then there's Mater Tenebrarum, mother of darkness, the youngest and cruelest. Her true name is not given, and she's in Inferno. And then there's Mater Lacrimarum, the mother of tears, the most beautiful and powerful, and she's also in Inferno. But there's three movies.
I wanna
There
track-
is Suspiria, Inferno, and Mother of Tears.
I want to track down his Phantom of the Opera movie that he made with Julian Sands in Asia.
Apparently,
I might have to track that down.
Love it.
the one with Asia is supposed to be the Stendhal syndrome is supposed to be pretty good. I've never seen that. I mean, I've seen Suspiria, Phenomena, Tenebrae, Deep Red, Opera. I think that might be it, though.
He's not even old. He's not even that old. He was born in 1940. I kind of expected him to be a little older. I don't know why.
And I think The Bird with the Crystal Plumage was another famous one from the 70s, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a 2007 Mother of Tears. Wait, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, I thought it was older. Okay. So they took a minute to make that one.
Oh, first, yeah.
Okay.
27 years.
Concluding installment of the supernatural horror trilogy, The Three Mothers. Wow. A confrontation with the final mother witch known as Mother Lacrimarum. Interesting. All right. Yeah, Dracula 3D is wild. But, I do love Thomas Kretschmann, who plays Dracula in that movie.
Yeah.
Very handsome
Another
German
fun
actor.
fact, apparently the actress who plays Helena Marcos at the end when Susie stabs her
Right.
was literally like a homeless woman off the street or
jeez.
something that Dario was like, come in here.
This old crone roaming the
Oh
streets
my
of Rome that
God.
he just thought was really badass. I love that.
So many fun facts.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well,
Let's see.
do we have any last kind of reflections on Suspiria? We've covered a lot.
I know. I mean, it'll never be done being covered. I think every time I watch it, I notice something new, especially now with the more, clear
Sure.
remasters.
This type of coloring in movies looks really beautiful on 4K television. I mean, I know that it's been talked about a lot about the state of Hollywood movies and how they look now, but I kind of want to see something like this on a Hollywood movie. It's just like, I don't know, like, remember color? Remember when something doesn't have to look like it was generated by AI?
On Letterboxd, it was like, can we please bring back Technicolor?
This type of coloring, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I am going to go next on Halloween. I'm going to go to the Orpheum and see this.
Sure, they're doing it for Cineспia. I love
I'm
that.
excited for
Good
the
Halloween
photo booth.
movie.
I'm like, what will the photo booth be? Like, I don't know. But yeah, because I haven't really been to the graveyard in years. I'm not saying I'm over that, but I kind of am. But I'm like, okay, this will be cool.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
The older we get,
I know.
the longer I'm like,
And I think
cannot
that
sit on this
Suspiria.
floor.
I think Suspiria is a movie that would lend itself
Very
to
much
a
so.
theater a little.
for sure.
Very much so.
It's kind of like
I don't want to watch it on that dinky little.
Yeah. This will be my last Agatha all along remark. But throughout the series, Agatha has been wearing her mother of pearl pendant of the three mothers, Mother Maiden Crone. And the Mother Maiden Crone are a big part. They're in the song, they're in the ballad. And she always is wearing, she's always wearing the pendant of the three mothers. And so Mother Maiden Crone could very much be in a bit of a reference to Suspiriorum, Tenebrarum, and Lacrimarum. I think that's absolutely part of it, but that is part of the comic book character as well. She did always wear the pendant. It's a big part of the show, and she's never not without it, or never not with it. So it's just one last little connection between this.
I'll add one more thing. I just saw it says the Miguel Bosé, right?
Yes.
It says Mark is fleetingly presented as a potential love interest for Susie. The inclusion of this never expanded plotline underscores the futility of men in Suspiria. Susie doesn't need him, and we don't need the kind of romantic storyline his character's inclusion would traditionally bring. Susie has more important things on her mind as she tries to recall precisely what she heard the evening of Pat's murder. So,
well, all of the men are disposable. in this
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. They're either exposition dumps
Cancel
or
men.
they're, a beautiful male ballerina with not a lot going on upstairs. Yeah.
I like it. Well, children, I think we've come to the end of The Witch's Road.
I'm so glad we did this. Because really, I think it's
a fun
like a
episode.
comfort movie for me that I've watched a million times, but also it still scares me. I think that's because there's a lot of movies. My favorite scary movies. You can just watch and it's like whatever. But like Suspiria will still get under my skin.
Last 10 minutes of this movie, I thought were
the last 12.
I thought were really fucking scary.
Also, I never noticed when that figure that opens the knife before Sarah's death. Apparently, those two little pearl pins are also visible, and that's what's in her eyeballs.
Yes.
And then the fucking nails through her arm, like crucifix style. That's really, and that's her friend. So it's really scary.
Yeah.
We're scared, but it's also like Susie's seeing this like reincarnated version of.
It's kind of like her seeing Annie on the bed when she walks into
oh my god
into the house,
all right,
the bedroom.
You know what? Cancel Halloween. Cancel John Carpenter. He totally copied everything. No, I'm kidding. But you're right. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this was a ton of fun. Devin, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Dev.
I love that every time we plan what the next movie is going to be, it ends up being another movie. But
we're going to be getting to our little children episode one day.
Yes,
we'll get there.
But your homework is to definitely check out Deep Red and Tenebrae.
Okay, we will.
Absolutely.
I'm still waiting for Clock Watchers viewing. Right? Oh no, you did watch it.
No, we didn't watch it.
No, not yet.
No, we haven't watched it yet.
Right.
That one goes on and off of Criterion as well.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think it's there right now.
I think it's on Blu-ray finally, so I'm gonna have to order it.
Oh,
Shout
yeah, I think
Factory.
it did.
There's like a Shout Factory of it.
Yeah,
we need
It's
to
probably
see that.
bare bones, but I still should get it.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you and where they can find... I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. Just Pandora. No, I'm kidding.
Not Pandora.
We did an episode of it. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think I've been on since you guys came on. And we had so much fun.
It's our last collab.
Oh, that's right. When we did Freaky Friday, we were about to go over and
But yeah,
about it.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, so definitely at least listen to the Movies That Made Us Gay episode of mine because it's really fun.
Yes.
Are you
Because we
excited?
do a whole Lisa Kudrow,
Sure.
deep dive.
You were last on for Freaky Friday. Are you excited for Freakier
I
Friday?
am.
I'm excited.
But it's funny that you just mentioned about coloring because someone said we need to hire coloring people because they did a picture of the new one with the old one and it just looked so pale and drab.
Sure.
I can't remember the context of it, but yeah, no, I'm very excited. It's already done, and I'm glad it's coming to theaters.
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus, Disenchanted, everything's been Disney Plus, so I was kind of thinking it would get thrown there, but it's like they have confidence that it's going to be, a big deal.
Put our girl Lynn's back on the
Lindsay's
screen.
Looking so beautiful.
Yeah, she looks
I'm
great.
so proud of her. Her Instagram.
Yeah, as much as I
mean,
complain about remakes and sequels, this feels right. It's been 21 years.
Seems warranted.
At least her team behind what she's got going on, she's got a solid team because everything that Lindsay is serving up,
It's pretty on point.
on socials.
Yeah.
We're here for it.
Yeah.
She looks amazing, and we're very happy that.
And I didn't realize there was
it's going to
another
theaters.
Christmas movie
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
So
One more
she's
coming
got
out.
her
I think,
whole
I think
little
she got like a
Netflix deal.
3 or
coming up.
4 picture deal with
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Irish one, but whatever.
It was fun. So, also, where can our listeners find you on your socials?
At I Don't Want to Hear That on Instagram. And then if you want to just follow my regular annoying page, it's just the one dev.
Awesome.
The number one.
Okay.
See
The
what
one day.
see what movie you have on at the bar.
Oh, right.
I always like those posts.
I know. The other day, literally, like, people were watching, like, the Dodgers and football. My managers was from, like, Devin, you have to put the game back on. I'm, like, watching the witches. I'm like, it's spooky season. I don't think all bars need to have sports only on. That's not fair. So, yeah, I always sneak a movie on.
Oh, I always save space for a bar that just has a random movie on.
We always hold space for that.
Yep.
Monday matinee.
Like Delta Work.
Like Delta Work. Yep.
All right, listeners, go find I Don't Want to Hear That on your socials and go listen to the Movies That Made Us Gay crossover episodes, the extravaganzas.
And binge The Comeback if you never
Yes,
have.
go
You will
watch
not
The
be
Comeback.
disappointed. It's the best show ever made.
Absolutely. Devin, thank you once again for coming on. Listeners, thank you for sticking around to the very end of the episode. Stick around. We'll be right back. Listeners, thanks for sticking around to the very end of the episode.
Yeah.
Suspiria.
Fun movie.
We didn't get too much into the sequel, which I'm okay with, because I think that's a whole
Sequel.
other ball of wax. Not sequel,
Remake.
I think it's a whole other ball of wax. I think we're pretty good just talking about the original with our good friend Devin. So thank you once again for sticking around, everybody.
I hope everybody is going to have a fun and safe Halloween weekend.
Yes.
Like-
Wear bright colors with your costume.
Gay Christmas. Yep.
Wear one of those reflector wristbands that you get at McDonald's that they used to give away. to
Shell out
ladies.
a little extra money for your Halloween Uber.
Oh yeah, that's always the deal.
Mhm.
It's a Halloween Uber getting home.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Yes, please do that.
You can interact. You can reenact Susie being driven by the taxi to the to the dance school.
with your surly German.
Mhm.
Oh boy. Well, listeners, you made it to the very, very end. I think it's about that time.
For Patreon shout-outs, let's hear them.
Yes, it's time for some Patreon shout-outs. We would like to say a great big thank you and hello to all of our wonderful active patrons. We've got some new ones, including Vanessa, Leah, SB, Shanti, Brian, Sarah, Richard, Mark, Jeff, Deja, Amy, Erica, Anna, Mitchie, our friends at Hattie, Drew, Andy, Kate, Pep, Roberto, Daisy, Patrick, Kelly, Chrissy, Stephen, Desiree, Laura, Thomas, Lori, Jess, Lawrence, Lisa, Alexis, Thomas, Millie, Ted, Benny, Melanie, Susan, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Aaron, John, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino. You guys, thanks for donating to the Patreon. It really helps us out.
We have all sorts of fun stuff if you sign up with Patreon. At the $5 level, you will get the TV shows that keep us gay.
Yes, indeed.
We will have one dropping very soon that this episode comes out. We are talking about some Halloween episodes of Roseanne.
Yes. Indeed.
That's going to be a fun time.
Yes.
And
Epic.
you'll get that at the $5
Halloween episodes of the 90s sitcoms. I mean, doesn't get any better. So check us out. $5 a month. You get all the TV that keeps us gay, including the summer series where we talked about Beverly Hills 90210 each week all summer long. And one bonus episode a month. And then...
At the $10 level, you'll get the commentary.
Yes, indeed. You get a commentary track. It works like a regular bonus episode. You can just listen to it, on your phone. But if you want, you can
watch along with us.
Sync it up with the movie and watch it along as we are watching it and listen to our commentary as the movie's going. It's really fun when you sync it up that way. I think it's a good time.
Yeah.
So at the $10 level, you get that plus all the TV stuff. So you're getting 2 bonus episodes a month. So head over to patreon.com/movies-that-made-us-gay for more information.
You can go ahead and leave us a review on anywhere you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Apple, we would love to read a new review.
Yes, indeed. I am just checking right now to make sure. But if you listen on Apple Podcasts, it's pre-installed on your phone. If you have an iPhone,
give
or
us
if you have
5
an
stars.
iPad, give us 5 stars. Leave a review. We'll read it in an episode. Also on Spotify, you can leave us a 5-star rating as well. So head over and do that. It's a lot of fun, and we thank you so much for doing that. And you can follow our socials. We're at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram. That's where we are the most active. We're just
Give us a
about
follow.
to bust through
I think we're pretty close.
3,300 Instagram followers. You guys, come on. Let's get this going. Anytime you see a post from us on Instagram, go ahead and like it. If you want to add a comment, share it, repost it, post it to your stories, any of that fun stuff. All of that traction, all of that engagement just leads to the algorithm pushing us further and helping us to reach a wider audience. So please keep on doing that. And thank you so much for all the likes and follows and comments and all that over on IG. We're most active. If you want to follow our personals, feel free. You can. My name is Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Until next time, everybody, be safe and spooky out there.
Bye.
Bye.